Chosen one, listen carefully. God ordered me to deliver this urgent message directly to you. Do not scroll away. This is not a coincidence, but a divine appointment. The Lord your God is trying to reach your heart right now, because God is trying to save you from a shadow wearing the face of a man. Do not take this lightly. This is not a story. It is a summons. Those who have ears to hear will understand. Every heartbeat you feel right now has been written before time began. Nothing in this moment is random. When heaven moves, it does not knock twice. You have been drawn here by divine design, and the light of revelation is pressing against the veil that once hid the truth from your eyes. There is a reason you are hearing this tonight and not yesterday. There is a reason you cannot look away. Heaven is declaring, I will not let my child fall into the arms of deception. Something hidden is about to break open. A truth long buried is rising like thunder beneath your feet. The Spirit of God is moving not to frighten you, but to free you. Every delay, every strange silence, every restless night was heaven's way of preparing you for this exact moment. Chosen one, the line between light and darkness is thinning, and you have felt it, the unease, the whispers, the invisible war between faith and fear. This is the hour when heaven speaks your defense, and when God speaks, the earth must listen. Every time you cried in silence, heaven recorded it. Every time you doubted your worth, angels wrote your name in light. Every time you thought no one saw, heaven watched with tears. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are being pursued by love, a love fierce enough to expose every shadow that stands against your destiny. Do not turn away. Do not harden your heart. This message is an answer to prayers you never spoke aloud. Even now, the Spirit stands between you and harm, drawing a line that darkness cannot cross. This is your awakening. This is your summons. This is the moment heaven has been waiting for since your first breath. If your heart feels stirred, and your spirit trembles with recognition, write 777 in faith as a seal of agreement, and I will pray that heaven covers you with divine protection tonight. Because this is not the end. This is the beginning of your revelation. Nothing in heaven happens by accident. Every breath, every heartbeat, every encounter is written in the eternal script of God's design. When heaven calls your name, it is never random. It is revelation. There is a sacred order to divine timing, and you are standing inside that moment right now. The reason this message found you is that heaven arranged it long before you even knew you needed it. While you were busy with the noise of the world, heaven was whispering your name through the quiet places of your spirit. Before the mountains were born, before the oceans were poured, your name was already known. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, declares the Lord. Jeremiah 1-5. You are not wandering through chaos. You are walking through prophecy. The unseen hand of heaven has been guiding your steps toward this very hour. That is why the words you hear now echo deeper than sound. They awaken something eternal inside you. There were moments you thought your prayers were lost in the wind, moments when your faith trembled beneath the weight of silence. But silence in heaven does not mean absence. It means preparation. What you thought was a delay was actually protection. What you mistook for rejection was redirection. Heaven has been weaving a story of preservation around your life, thread by golden thread. You were not forgotten. You were hidden, kept away from what would have destroyed your destiny before it even began. There are no coincidences in the kingdom of God. You did not find this message. This message found you. You did not stumble into revelation. Revelation summoned you. You may feel unworthy, unprepared, or uncertain, but heaven makes no mistakes. Every tear you cried became an instruction for an angel. Every sigh you breathed in despair became a signal in the courts of heaven. You were never outside of God's reach. You were always within His plan. When heaven calls your name, it does not flatter you, it awakens you, because calling always precedes cleansing, and cleansing precedes destiny, as C.S. Lewis once wrote in The Four Loves, "To love at all is to be vulnerable. To love is to be vulnerable." This truth echoes the heart of what you are experiencing. You are being called, not because you are flawless, but because you are deeply loved. Heaven's focus is not divided, and right now, all of heaven's attention is resting upon you. So listen deeply. Do not dismiss the stirring in your heart As mere emotion, it is alignment. It is the sound of heaven's voice meeting your purpose. You are being called not as punishment, but as proof of divine love. For the moment heaven calls your name, everything begins to shift. And tonight, that call has come for you. The heavens do not warn without reason. When God speaks in urgency, it is because danger walks too close to your destiny. There is a man whose presence in your life has not been what it seems. He smiles in the light, but speaks in the dark. He offers warmth with one hand, while the other hides a blade of deception. You have seen fragments of the truth, hesitations in his tone, unease in your spirit, the quiet dissonance between his words and his heart. These were not coincidences. They were alarms sounded by heaven itself. Every time you felt that sudden heaviness when he entered the room, it was not fear, it was revelation. Every time you tried to silence your suspicion, heaven cried out louder. Every time you told yourself you were imagining things, the Spirit whispered, "No, you are discerning." The unease in your soul was not weakness. It was a divine warning. For God often speaks not through thunder, but through restlessness, the kind that unsettles your peace until you pay attention. Chosen one, you must understand this. Not every arrival in your life is anointed. Some are assigned by darkness to delay, distract, or devour. What first appeared as comfort may have been a test. What looked like destiny may have been a disguise. As it is written, Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. 2 Corinthians 11:14. The shadow that walks beside you smiles with grace, yet his intentions twist beneath the surface. You saw kindness. Heaven saw calculation. You heard promises. Heaven heard manipulation. You believed loyalty. Heaven discerned agenda. And now, what was hidden must be exposed. For God does not reveal to humiliate, he reveals to protect. You have reached the moment when light begins to separate from shadow, when pretense collapses under the weight of truth. Do not resist this revelation. It is not to shame you, but to save you. This man studied your kindness. He watched how easily your mercy forgave, how quickly your heart trusted, how deeply your soul believed. But he never understood that heaven stands guard over those who love purely. Your innocence is not weakness. It is proof that light still dwells within you. Do not let betrayal make you bitter. Let it make you wise. Let discernment become your armor and truth your sword. As C.S. Lewis observed in the Screwtape Letters, indeed, the safest road to hell is the gradual one, the gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turnings. The danger is not always in the storm. Sometimes it hides in comfort, in the quiet voice that convinces you to compromise little by little. That is how darkness moves, not with noise, but with subtlety. And that is why heaven interrupts your path tonight. The Spirit of God is lifting the veil. The face you trusted is not what it seemed. The silence that felt harmless was heavy with intention. Yet fear not, for light is stronger than deceit, and what is revealed can no longer control you. This warning is not a curse. It is a crown of protection. You are being rescued from what you could not see, from a deception too close for comfort. Do not look away, chosen one. Do not question your discernment now, for heaven is drawing a line that no shadow can cross. The man in the light was a mask. The man in the dark is the truth. And tonight, God tears the mask apart. Silence does not mean absence. Stillness does not mean indifference. Heaven has watched every moment when your faith trembled, every second you wondered if God still saw you. What felt like divine silence was divine surveillance, the quiet observation of a father who never stopped guarding his child. When heaven seems quiet, it is not because God has turned away, it is because he is preparing the perfect moment to speak. There were nights when your prayers fell like stones into the dark, unanswered and forgotten, or so you thought. Yet the heavens recorded every word. For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor anything secret that will not be known and come to light, says Luke 8:17. Heaven's silence is never negligence, it is strategy. While you were waiting in despair, angels were moving behind the veil, rearranging what the enemy had set against you. The truth is, God never abandons. He observes. He never forgets. He waits. He never sleeps. He prepares. What feels like delay on earth is perfect timing in eternity. Imbalance is only seen by those who measure time by minutes instead of meaning. You must learn to see as heaven sees, where waiting is warfare and patience is power. Because when heaven waits, it waits with purpose. Imbalance on earth does not echo in heaven. Your tears did not fall into emptiness. They watered the soil of your next miracle. Your pain was not wasted. It was recorded in the archives of redemption. Each sigh was written into the script of your transformation. Heaven was never silent. It was storing up evidence to confront the shadow that dared to touch your destiny. And when the time came, heaven spoke not in whispers, but in thunder. Imperfect though you are, you were never invisible to the divine. Every injustice you endured was weighed. Every betrayal was documented. Every sleepless night became an entry in heaven's book of remembrance. When you thought no one saw, God saw. When you thought no one cared, the Spirit hovered above your brokenness, guarding it until it could be turned into strength. Do not mistake quiet for apathy. Do not confuse stillness with distance. The sky may appear mute, but heaven is a courtroom, not a void. Its silence is the pause before judgment, the breath before revelation. And now that silence has broken. What was observed in secrecy will be declared openly. What was whispered in the dark will be shouted from the light. Heaven has never been silent. It has been watching, waiting, and recording every step of your story. And now, the time for observation has ended. The time for revelation has begun. When darkness draws near, heaven does not retreat, it rises. The kingdom of God is never passive in the face of deceit. It intervenes. What you are feeling now, that trembling in your soul, that strange awareness that something unseen is unfolding, is the evidence of divine movement. The war for your destiny has reached its threshold, and heaven has sent reinforcement. You have not been standing alone. For every whisper spoken against you, a counter-decree has already been released in heaven. For every hidden plan, a divine reversal has been prepared. There are forces beyond sight shifting on your behalf, and the commander of those hosts is no stranger to battle. The Lord of hosts is his name, declares Scripture, and his armies move with precision when his children are threatened. Archangel Michael has drawn his sword. He is not a symbol but a sentinel, the embodiment of divine defense. When the shadow reached for your light, Michael stood between. When deception aimed to entangle your path, his blade divided truth from lie. What was meant to harm you has already been intercepted. The reason you are still standing is not luck. It is strategy. It is an intervention. Every moment you survived, what should have broken you was proof of unseen protection. Every closed door that frustrated you was a shield, not a rejection. Every relationship that dissolved was heaven's redirection. Every delay was a defense. Every detour was deliverance. Every silence was salvation. This is not chaos. It is coordination. Heaven's timing is surgical, arriving neither early nor late, but precisely when revelation can preserve your faith. Do not think the battle is only spiritual poetry. It is reality. Darkness studies light, but it never defeats it. Evil watches purity, but it cannot touch it without permission. God's sovereignty is not an idea, it is law. As C.S. Lewis wrote in The Problem of Pain, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. That pain you felt was not abandonment, it was awakening. It was heaven shouting over the noise of deception, demanding your attention before destruction could take root. Understand this. Protection is not always gentle. Sometimes God's mercy looks like separation, his love like loss, his rescue like removal. You asked for peace, and he removed what disturbed it. You prayed for clarity, and he exposed what was hidden. That is not cruelty, that is compassion in warfare form. For love without discipline is sentiment, but divine love is strategy. This is protection, this is mercy, this is love. 3 pillars of the same kingdom, holding the roof of your destiny above the storm. You were never meant to fight alone. Heaven has always been at your side. The same power that split the Red Sea now splits the veil of confusion surrounding you. The same God who spoke through fire now speaks through revelation. Lift your eyes and see the pattern. Where shadows rise, light answers. Where deceit grows bold, truth grows brighter. Where fear tightens its grip, grace cuts it loose. The intervention of heaven is not coming, it is already here, unfolding in the silence between your heartbeats. There comes a moment when the noise of battle fades, and all that remains is stillness, not emptiness, but the holy quiet that follows victory. This is that moment. You have been preserved through storms you did not understand, through losses that made no sense, through silences that felt unbearable. Yet every tear, every ache, every restless night was part of heaven's curriculum, designed to awaken what had been asleep inside you. You are not being punished, you are being awakened. The shaking was never meant to destroy you, but to stir the depths of your spirit where truth had been waiting to rise. The human heart does not awaken through comfort, it awakens through breaking. It is the breaking that lets the light in. It is the breaking that teaches discernment. It is the breaking that proves that your faith was never built on circumstance, but on covenant. Every tear was seen, every silence was recorded, every prayer was heard. Heaven missed nothing. When you thought your cries vanished into darkness, they became incense in the courts of God. The Lord is close to the broken-hearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit, declares Psalm 34-18. What you called heartbreak, heaven called harvest. What you called loss, heaven called liberation. What you called delay, heaven called preparation. The awakening of the soul is not gentle, it is glorious. It tears the veil between what you thought you knew and what you were born to see. It teaches you to discern the sacred hidden inside the ordinary. It reveals that protection often comes disguised as disappointment. You asked God to show you your purpose, and He allowed the shaking so that everything false would fall away. That shaking was not wrath, it was mercy in motion. The Spirit of God is not only your defender, He is your teacher. He speaks through wounds, through waiting, through whispers that sound like doubt, but are really direction. You are learning to recognize His voice not in thunder, but in peace, not in fear, but in truth. When heaven awakens the soul, it restores not only faith but identity. You begin to remember who you were before the shadow entered your story. You remember the strength you thought you lost, the purity you thought was gone, the calling you thought was buried. The light now rising within you is not borrowed, it is reborn. What darkness tried to bury, God has resurrected. The weary soul is being renewed, and the faith that was fading is catching fire again. You are not who you were before the breaking. You are wiser, lighter, freer. This is not recovery. This is rebirth. And in that rebirth lies your greatest revelation, that what heaven awakens, no shadow can silence again. Truth never knocks softly when it arrives. It breaks through like light-shattering glass. The moment you are standing in now is not confusion, it is unveiling. The mask is falling. What once looked flawless now trembles beneath the weight of truth. What once felt safe now feels foreign. You are not losing clarity, you are finally seeing clearly. He who walked beside you with a smile has been standing in two worlds. In one hand he carried affection, in the other he carried intention. He spoke of loyalty while planting seeds of delay. He mirrored your kindness, studied your trust, and thought your purity made you blind. But heaven does not permit deceit to last forever. When light appears, every mask begins to melt. You sensed it before you could name it, the silence that felt heavy, the laughter that rang hollow, the sudden distance behind his eyes. Each was a signal, each a whisper from heaven saying, "Look again." And now the looking is over, the seeing has begun. The mask has cracked, and beneath it stands the truth you were never meant to discover on your own. Every hidden word has weight. Every secret gesture carries consequence. He believed his jewel face would never fracture. That charm could hide intention forever. But heaven has stepped into the story. For a time, God allowed the disguise to teach you discernment. Now, He removes it to restore your direction. For there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known, declares Matthew 10:26. Do not tremble at what is revealed. Revelation may sting, but it saves. It wounds before it heals, exposes before it frees. What you see now is not punishment, it is protection manifesting as truth. What was meant to deceive you has become your education. What was meant to delay you has become your awakening. The unmasking was not to shame you. It was to show you how heaven defends its own. Remember this: deception thrives only in darkness. Once light enters, falsehood loses power. Once truth speaks, manipulation loses language. Once masks fall, the soul can finally breathe. Let the light do its work. Do not grieve the exposure, celebrate the revelation. For the same God who reveals is the God who redeems. The face that once confused your spirit is no longer a mystery. The words that once tied you in knots now sound hollow in the open air. The spell is broken, the shadow scattered, and what remains is freedom. This unveiling is not the end of your story. It is the clearing of the stage before the next act begins. Heaven has not exposed you, it has exonerated you. The light that uncovered his deceit is the same light that now crowns your truth. Stand firm in it. The mask has fallen, and you no longer owe blindness to anyone. Freedom is not the absence of chains. It is the presence of light. When truth enters, it does not simply expose, it liberates. You are now standing in that holy intersection between revelation and release, where pain has finished its work and peace begins to rise. The shock of exposure is fading, and what remains is something unbreakable: clarity. What once clouded your spirit is gone. What once whispered doubt has fallen silent. The air around you feels lighter because the shadow that clung to your path has been burned away by truth. At first, freedom can feel unfamiliar. After all, you grew used to surviving. You learned how to walk with caution, how to smile through confusion, how to forgive without understanding. But now, the weight you carried has lifted, and your soul does not yet know what to do with the lightness. Let it breathe, let it learn. Liberation takes time to settle into the bones. Healing does not arrive in a single breath. It unfolds like morning. Do not fear the quiet that follows deliverance. It is not emptiness, it is restoration. Heaven always replaces what it removes. The silence you feel is not abandonment, it is peace, establishing its roots. Where anxiety once lived, serenity now builds a home. Where doubt once spoke, faith begins to sing. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free, says John 8:32. And freedom, once given by heaven, cannot be revoked by men. Every moment you spend in this new clarity rewrites your story. You no longer see through the fog of deception, but through the lens of purpose. You are learning that forgiveness is not approval, it is release. To forgive is not to invite back what hurt you, it is to unbind your heart from the wound. The one who deceived you no longer holds power, because revelation ended the illusion. His name no longer carries weight. Your name now carries authority. Remember what you have learned. Truth may break, but it never betrays. The light that exposed also healed. The same fire that burned the mask purified your spirit. There is no shame in seeing clearly, no guilt in letting go. The pain was the passage. The peace is the promise. Every ending ordained by heaven is really a beginning in disguise. Lift your eyes and see what freedom truly is. The courage to walk forward unafraid, the wisdom to trust discernment, the grace to keep your heart soft even after betrayal. You are not defined by the wound, you are refined by it. The shadow that once pursued you now flees from the glow you carry. The revelation that once shook you now steadies you. This is the light of freedom. It does not blind, it clarifies. It does not shout, it shines. And as it fills every corner of your being,